And so, would you like to start with introducing yourself a little bit?
Yeah, I'm Samuel Guarin. I'm 25 years old. I used to play professional tennis. Now I'm a professional tennis coach. Also managing some players. I'm currently based in Barcelona, and I dedicate to traveling and development of players. I'm also a MBA student, more on the sports management part. So yeah, I think I can bring a lot of information regarding this subject, if I may add.
That's great. I mean, you're not just coaching then, or also dealing with sport management, so you're representing.
Yeah, more on the part of let's say managing the development career. So a lot of the setting the goals, tournament planning, advising them on contracts to the players. Also how to talk with some sponsors, all this kind of stuff. Not about representing that much, but more about the managing part. Trying to put all the puzzles together with whatever I can help on the strategic part.
I mean, what I see is lots of tennis players need this kind of guidance, I think, because they are mostly alone, not just inside the court, but throughout their careers. They need a lot of assistance and
Yeah, it's actually a huge field right now. You can see a lot of athletes starting to acknowledge or reflecting that it's something that they need. Also, there is a lot of now of agencies that are managing, but they I think most of the agencies are more on the sponsorship part or the branding part of it, not so much about guiding the athletes, which I think is the most important thing that we should be doing. But it's also the part that requires the most time. So it's not easy also for coaches to spend that time with every player to make it so personalized. But it's what, let's say, I'm trying to break and trying to bring into the table with every player I'm working. That trying to also it's important to let's say make them self-aware and also to have the responsibility for them to understand that it's their project, it's their career, and then we're there to help. So it's important for us to give them the tools for them to know how to manage their careers. But at the end of the day, it's their career, which is good. I also see a lot of coaches trying to do everything and for the player, but I think the player should be the one with that leadership on the program.
maybe that's why tennis requires lots of mental toughness, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can see a lot of. Probably we're gonna get through this during the interview, but I think you can see in tennis more or a lot. Maybe in some other sports as well, but in tennis you see a lot of burnouts and a lot of athletes having. We have seen this actually a lot on the female side, on the women's side lately, with a lot of athletes taking time off because of the mental health. We saw it with Amanda Nisimova that took some time off and then came back playing even better.
Her comeback was amazing. Yeah.
Her comeback was amazing, but I think I think all this breaks down that they have so much exposure. Before, I think it wasn't that much as now. Now since they're young, they have so much exposure, so much. Let's say it's like a race. Everybody wants to get there first, and they forget that it's a process to get there, right? I think I also had a bit of that problem myself when I was playing. I kind of wanted to get all the cut through the edges and kind of had that racing mentality. And then as you mature and you see it from a different perspective, then as a coach, I saw it with a lot of athletes. It's a huge problem. It's they don't focus about the process of actually getting there. How do I get better? What can I improve? All my parts, because it's not only technical and tactical. It's the mental part, the fitness part, the managing part, also financially. How am I gonna use my budget more strategically? Also, there's coaches that can help me with different things. I can maybe have a main coach, but then I can add some coaches that can help me on different parts. So it's a huge part, and I think athletes today, a lot of them are missing that, and then also that leads to also stagnation. That maybe not improving as good or as complete and holistic as they could, and then therefore having a very sustainable career.
It's it sounds like a very like how can I put it? A lot of work, a lot of different aspects that players should bring together. So they should surely need assistance, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
We will get back to your own career's burnout that you mentioned, but I want to ask. So you're also dealing with sport management and helping your players' career a lot more than just being their coach. And do you think normal agencies, what that we mentioned, that deals mostly with sponsorships, do you think if they don't have a tennis career or a lot of tennis knowledge, so they mostly represent tennis players, football players, basketball players, do you think that they understand tennis players as much as you do,
I
or is it?
mean, I think until some part. I mean, also I don't want to, let's say, step on anybody's shoes. I think that all of there is different agencies. I also have seen some of them doing a great job lately, new agencies. But as you said, there is big ones, of course, that they manage, a lot of sports and a lot of things. I do think that they have for sure consultants or some people that has been in the sector to have that sensitive part, so they do that good. But for sure, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to be understand that it's an industry, and I also understand that it's important for them to brand the player, and also for the players, good, because at the end of the day, the players need to generate money, which is good. So I mean, yes and no. I think there should be different type of management platforms. So for that part, I think they're doing a great job. Then for the other part, I think that there is a hole, and that we should be doing more on that lack of structure and the lack of help for players and guidance. I mean, just to kind of give them that roadmap to know what to do, or to at least show them possibilities so that they can have a clearer idea of what to do.
That's nice. That's nice. You told me that next week you're going to Netherlands.
Yeah, I mean, next week I'm going to the Netherlands, but more of actually seeing some family. I'm going with my
Ah,
girlfriend, and
oh,
then.
all right.
But before, no, yeah, but before I also have been there for work. I mean, I had a player there, and or myself, I have been for tournaments, and it's a great place for tennis. I think they're doing also a great job in the federation. They're starting to develop a lot of good young athletes there in the federation for tennis part. I don't know about other sports, but I know in the federation they're starting to develop good players. We have seen also some good ones there on the top 100 with Botic, Van Sandsvulp, and then also we have seen Grieksburg, which is also very good. But yeah, I don't know also the structure. I don't know how they're working, to be quite honest, right now.
I mean, right culture is really important when it comes to success in sports. So if you compare Spain with Netherlands, let's say, how is it? I mean, Spain is definitely big in tennis for
Yeah,
sure.
Spain is, I mean, I gotta be honest about this question, and also it's kind of contradictory, right? Because I'm working in Spain, so I should be saying that it's great for tennis and to get clients and whatever, but you know what's the thing? We have a lot of competition, we have a lot of players, we have, I think, what for sure is one of the biggest hubs. We have a lot of clubs, a lot of great clubs, a lot of tournaments. We have tons of ITF junior tournaments, challengers on pros, futures. Every year we have more. But I do think that we do need to be also open to different methodologies. I think Spanish methodology with tennis, technically and tactically, it's very clear. More on the clay court part, playing heavy, being very solid, very mental, being great, which is what Nadal did for all the years. But I think we also, where the tennis is evolving right now, we need to also collaborate with coaches from other places to get that uh, complete view, because tennis right now is evolving very fast. We have seen it with Alcaraz. Alcaraz is nothing but a Spanish player. He comes a lot to the net, takes time off the ball a lot. Like he's playing mixing a lot of variabilities, and I mean, he has a great team around him. I think Juan Carlos is doing a great job, but I also there have added a lot of things to his game that are from a lot of places. So I think this is good, and I think coaches here should be open to that, and seeing also how they work in US. They have some things that could work for here. Then Italy also is developing a lot of great players. We have seen it in the last years. It's the new generation of Italian athletes are amazing. You have seen Musetti, Sinner, Coboli, Passaro, so many good Italians. So for sure they're doing something great there, and we also have to be looking there what they're doing good in the federation. So yeah, I think tennis is a sport that I think if you have a big ego and you don't collaborate, you're gonna get stuck. You need to collaborate, you need to listen, you need to find out what's out there and use it.
You shouldn't take success for granted in tennis, as far as I
No,
understand.
for sure not. For sure not. I mean, for sure not. And I mean, it's the thing in tennis. I think in every sport, but in tennis is not only getting there, but you also have to maintain it, and you have a lot of young athletes coming behind you that want to be there, and they are faster and they're stronger and they're looking what you're doing and they want to do it better, and they're having every it's also a thing before, let's say 10 years ago, on the lower circuit, so let's say futures, challengers, even juniors, there was maybe half of the tournaments there is now a week, or if maybe not even that. Right now you see it on juniors, they have I don't know, 15 tournaments a week, so they can they can play everywhere internationally, and then futures the same. So it has really expanded the opportunities for athletes. That's why it's crazy. You see some athletes that maybe have a ranking that is not very true to their level, but you also see a lot of new players coming every now and then. So yeah, I think it's important. Yeah.
That's crazy. And if we go back to Alcaraz, you said that he's nothing but like a Spanish player, and
No,
uh,
I mean, well,
he,
wait. Of course, he has that. He has that. He has the grit. He has, of course, that clay court masterful mind, and the forehand is very heavy, and he has that, and he's very, but also he has that, kind of going for the special shots and risk and magic, and he plays good in indoor, and he plays good on grass, and like he's very complete. He didn't stay like a traditional, just one or two things. He went for the whole book, So I think it's a great example for
I
young
guess
kids right now.
I guess if you want to be in the top 5, that's how you need to be. Like you don't have the luxury to choose a surface or one style, probably, because you are facing all kinds of players. You need a
For
lot of
sure.
ammunition in your toolbox.
For sure. And it's also something, talking about the mental part, which is your specialty. It's tough also now with juniors, so because uh, they don't, sometimes it's tough to get them to see the big picture. So sometimes they maybe they don't take the right risks because they are afraid to lose, or they get under pressure, or for them if they lose a few matches, maybe taking the right decisions, they see it like a complete failure, or they see that they're too far away. But they're building the game, they're building their game. They have to find their identity, see what's their strengths, what's the weaknesses, where can they get better, what is working and what is not working. So it's tough to get a junior that really, I mean, tough. You get a few, right? But I do feel that they have a lot of pressure and they burn out very quickly when trying to build their game, because they also see they don't see the process of it. And I'm talking right now, sitting as a coach and sitting as somebody that has seen it from all the perspective now, and I see it more maturely. For sure, when I was 14 and 15, when I was winning tournaments, I was feeling in the sky, and when I was losing, I was feeling like I should quit. But I think it's our job, and for me, for example, is it what I try to do, which is what I couldn't get when I was playing, somebody to actually be able to get into my head and show me the big picture and explain me and say, okay, hey, what's the goal here? We have to structure it. It's a plan, it's a developmental plan. So you have to see what are you going for in the next 3 months, 6 months, in a year, in 2 years, to actually see that you're actually doing something for your career. And it's not just it's about winning the next match or the next tournament.
That's true. I mean, unfortunately, in those younger ages, especially, as you say, there's a lot of pressure. They need to prove themselves, and it's basically about winning tournaments, and it's pushing young players to be outcome oriented, probably, and their development in 3, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years is maybe lagging behind. And how do you think coaches are doing in that sense to give them the necessary mental aspect of the work, or are they just training them inside the court?
Well, it's tricky, yes and no. I mean, I have seen some great coaches trying to they understand this, and they try to build this language with the players since first time, first minute on the court. Then, of course, the bigger picture is that most of the coaches, they either don't have the knowledge or the interest or the time, for that matter, to get into that. So they just get on the court, work on the technical part or tactical part that they see, and they're off, right? But I think that's where we have to separate a lot of what is a technical. I mean, maybe for me, a coach is the one that sees it all holistically. Then you have the monitor or the guy that is, doing the hours, and maybe he's good on court, but the coach is really, for me, the one that sees the whole picture. So also it's important, I think, for us, I mean, I put myself there, that if we don't know about something, we need to maybe not, try to find him somebody that can I mean, the player or her, sorry. We need to find them somebody that can help them in that thing that maybe I'm not the greatest person to do that. Or maybe I am good and we can talk about it, but maybe you don't feel so comfortable talking about some things with me. Then it's my responsibility also as a coach to build that team around you and say, okay, listen, I think we need to get better at this. It's a huge issue that we have right now, which is not a problem, but let's address it. It's the elephant in the room. What are we going to do about it? So let's bring somebody that, same as we're hitting forehands, backhands, getting fit in the gym. That part is important as well. So what are we going to do about it? And then, the player understands it. I feel until some point, also there is players that maybe are a little bit embarrassed about talking about these things. But I also think that in the latest years, or I mean, lately, a lot of players have come out with having mental problems. You have seen, as I said, Anisimova, or you have also seen Zverev talk about it. Then back in the day, we saw Marty Fish having a huge problem as well with on the US Open with the heart and everything, with the anxiety, panic, and everything. So I think that most of the players should know that it's a thing, and it's important to see it, and it's important to talk about it. So yeah.
It's good to have maybe the top 10 players coming up with these kind of issues more openly. They're talking about it, so it can give courage to other players to understand that it's normal It's just
It's not
they need
for
to communicate.
sure.
They need to talk about it. Otherwise, it will grow inside and ruin their careers, maybe. And
Yeah, and but as I say, I think it's part of the plan. If you sit down with a player and you plan it, what are we gonna do? Then the player sees it in a clear way. Same as if I have to do a big technical change with the serve, we have to really understand why. What is the problem? Are we not having good rhythm? Are we going for speed? What is the problem? So also, or maybe we are just thinking too much before serving, so we need to create routines. So we are planning to change that. Same is with the head. I think if we just plan to change a certain thing and we break it down into cycles, and when are we going to talk about it, before the match, after the match, during training, the player is going to fix it. But it's about putting in the work at the end of the day.
And do you do lots of cognitive work with the players, like cognitive trainings? And after that, I will do serves.
Yeah, I mean, no, we do a lot of. I mean, I do a lot of reaction training. So a lot of stimulating the reactions and everything with eyes, head, and everything. So you have seen it also in the last years. A lot of these light exercises or numbers or signals or working with the ball. Or now we have seen it in the tour, even Sabalenka trying it with the dots and the balls to focusing the eyes. So there's a lot of things to do. Also, I think there's a lot of fun things to do, and there's a lot of things that maybe don't work as well, which is a problem, because many coaches or young kids as well, for that matter, see it on Instagram and they say, "Oh, maybe I need to do this," but maybe it's not working. So you really need to actually study the thing and do the job, or ask a professional about it, so you get the most out of it.
You mean the exercises, some specific exercises don't work at all, or not every exercise works for every player?
Yeah, I think not every exercise is for every player. So, for example, for me, some players have to work a lot more with the eyes.
Like
The
Sabalenka?
visuals. Yeah, I mean, for example, reactions or things moving with light, or then there is some players also that are not great with the hearing. They're great with the eyes, but maybe they're not good with the hearing, so they don't really read the ball. So, for example, if the impact of the ball is heavy or soft, or they don't read it. They're looking at the ball and they know it's coming with shape, but they're not hearing the ball and being able to read actually the pace of the ball. So that's also something to work on the reactions of the ball with the clap, which is a classic. There is many things to do with athletes, I think, on that subject, and even more that we're going to see now as well with virtual reality and immersive. We have tested this also as well. So it's also, I mean, the innovations on the sport is growing every day.
And about serves, do you think how much can it be corrected or improved with normal trainings, or with some technology like neurofeedback, like EEG devices? So let's say, so that's my area kind of.
Your field, yeah.
So the neurofeedback is like you're actually showing the players where the focus lies, or what is the correct brainwave to catch that sweet spot in the brain to
Right.
actually have the best serve or have the best return. Like,
You mean to, like, there's sweet spot zone of concentration and focus?
exactly, like
Yeah.
exactly like that. For example, let's say not every player is serving at the same speed. Like, some players are just bouncing the ball a couple of times and then serving immediately. But for some players to catch that focus, to look at the opponent or where they will serve, it takes a bit longer time. And for every player, for that reason, the sweet spot is different actually. For the timing is different. And in their brains, depending on the brain waves, easier to identify, and also it's valid with the returns. Like, important is focus according to you during serve or during the matches,
I
and
mean,
from the first serve of the game till the match point. What do you think?
well, it's we're entering kind of what I want to say, the fantasy zone, because for me, I mean, it's impossible for a player to be there 2 hours completely every point. Of course, the greatest ones, the ones that have achieved, like Djokovic, for example, for me is a master on this. His ability to get off and on really quickly. So, for example, he can get frustrated, of course, because he's a human being, or he can miss certain balls, whatever, or lose the momentum of the match. But he has a great ability to come back really quickly, which in some players, or most of the players, it takes way longer. So for him, it maybe takes 1 or 2 points maximum. For some players, it takes 3, 4, 5. So I think about the focus part, it's of course huge. It's nothing new. I think everybody knows this. However, I don't think everybody knows how to control it, or to trying to get back to it. Some players, for me, the breathing is great. I try to work with my players a lot with the breathing, also with the eyes. I think it's very good for you to have a very great sense of how do I say, of the perspective of the court, but also the perspective where you are all the time, especially when returning, which you talk about that, which is great. For me, what I try to do with my players is, once you get to that position where you're returning, try to look at yourself, look at your position, your body, your racket, but then also try to open your eyes good, to get a good focus eyes. Let's say maybe you're focusing more on the net or more, whatever it is, but get on that vision very quickly so that you are there to be able to react faster. But that's, we're talking about the ideal sweet world where everything works, which is not the case, or rarely it is. Maybe you have 2-3 matches a year where you are there completely the whole time. But I do think that players should have routines to be able to get into that focus very quickly, and also know how it feels, because I also see a lot of players with a lot of potential, but they are everywhere. They maybe they have great hitting and very, like, a lot of raw power. Physically, they're great, whatever it is, but they are a bit everywhere mentally. So it's important to organize the house around here, and then be able to know how do you work, how does your body and your mechanism work to get back quickly to the situations.
And what do you think about momentum loss and getting back from that bad place after losing a couple of games or unlucky points in tennis? How fast should an ideal player come back?
It's, as I said, it's very important how you build the language with every player, because not every player is the same, and they're all very unique. So the better you understand them, the better you're going to be able to talk with them in those moments, because you pick the wrong words and it can go anywhere. If you pick the wrong word, it can go anywhere. So you have to be very careful with those words in those very specific moments you're pointing. But also it's important to break it down to basics for them, the momentum, because also sometimes they don't see it. Sometimes they play a lot with the scoreboard, which is, maybe they start the match, low margins, missing a lot of balls, whatever the situation is. Maybe they're a bit tight, stressed, and they are 5-1 down. But then then they get loose because they're losing, so they don't have anything to lose. They start playing better, 5-3, 5-4, even though they lose the set 6-4. But the momentum shifted, and they don't see that because they still with the scoreboard. So it's also important to make them know how the momentum feels, but also to be able to read what's the situation in the most basic way. So, for example, am I losing because I'm missing too much, or because he's making more winners, or making me, being more aggressive? So if I'm losing because he's being more aggressive, making more winners, it's easy. I have to also take some more risks myself to get him out of that uncomfortable position. But if I'm losing because I'm missing too much, then let's try to put the momentum on him and make him play extra balls, getting into the match, longer rallies. Maybe also I get a bit of confidence out of it. So that's the basics. Then about the words, talking to them, I think it's important to not focus slow, depending. So for example, some players, if they're in that moment and you talk about the opponent, they're going to lose it. They're going to lose it because they're going to feel that the opponent is playing really good, or, so it's better maybe to avoid that external factor of the opponent, how he's playing, and just focus on him. Manage the breathing. What are we going to do next? So for example, with some players, it works great just to give them directions of tactical parts, because then that they're not going to have to think about what is happening. I'm just telling him, maybe it's better to serve here and go, or whatever the situation is, or we have to play more through the middle, open more the core wide, go more to whatever the situation is, but just go tactically straight away, because then they go from feeling anxious, seeing that the other one is playing good, just, boom, they have to think about the tactical part. But then also some players is the other way around, maybe it's good to give them the responsibility also to manage it, that momentum shifting, to change it, also to learn, because also, as I said, it depends a lot on the match, how old is because if I'm working with a junior, then maybe I want him maybe to, even though that he loses that match, he needs to learn. So it's okay, he's developing. But maybe if he's a pro and we're playing a big match, I don't know, challenger, getting to the semifinal, then I have to be, we have to win this match. So we're talking about different things. So it depends a lot on the moment, I think, and on the player, and as well as the language that you have developed with him, and also, which is also something very important with what you're doing with the neurofeedback. I think it's very important to know, as a coach, you have a very high responsibility of knowing the stress cells of the player, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me to know the player, I have to know his profile. I have to know what situations he feels most stressed in. So is it going to a tie break? Is it serving to stay in the set? Is he serving in a break point? Is he playing with a lefty? Because maybe, I don't know, he plays with lefties and he just thinks that he's not going to win. Or is he playing in the night, in the morning, in the whatever the situation? I need to know what stress cells he manages, and also how high the percentage of the stress is. Because if maybe, I don't know, playing in the night produces me a little stress, but playing a lefty produces me a very high stress, then I have to focus on that more. So it's important that, and also it's important to see his tics and the things that he does, which for sure you as a mental coach, this. So for example, we have some players that as a coach, when he's even if he doesn't say, you can see it. The way he moves, the way he talks, he stops, maybe the way he's looking at the racket more, how he's coming to the towel, how he's moving the fingers. You can see it, or maybe even in the changeovers, the way that he's drinking the water. You can see it depends. You have to. That's what I mean. You have to know your player like you know your car. It's like a Ferrari. You have to know. No, really, you have to know exactly what you are working with and exactly how he feels, because then you're able to help the best way possible.
That's true. How many players are you working with?
Currently, since I'm finishing my MBA, actually, I'm working with two. So I'm working with a junior, and then I'm working with one that is in that futures transition to, challenger futures. But yeah, I'm not working with many now because I don't have that much time. But with the junior, though, I spend a lot of time, and it's a very interesting project because she is a she, and the other one is a he, the older one. But she has a bit of, like I said about this, she has a lot of things to work in mentally, of course, technically, tactically, of course. But for me, it's very important that she give her the tools. She knows what she has to improve. But for me, it's very important to let her figure it out as well. Yeah. Even because she's one of those athletes that has, needs the structure, needs all, what we talked about that they're lacking, because she was lacking all this for the last a lot of years. but also is a player that has had that help from the parents and everything to make it kind of easy. So it's also important to give her that feel that she needs to be put in tough situations as well. So yeah, but of course with the pros is way easier. You know, before I have worked with multiple players on the top 300, 500, then as well some very good juniors. Of course, with the pros it's easier because you can talk open. I think more openly. I think they know themselves better as well, so it's easier. You know, you can get a lot more information about talking with them. And with the juniors, you need to really be playing playing all your cards right. Otherwise, you're not gonna get the information right, because they you know, they're gonna talk about certain things, they lie about other things because, you know, they don't want to show it. So it's important. But so yeah, with the pros, it's easier to see the stress cells, also how they think, how their ideas works in their mind, how they plan. You can also see when they are going completely off the tactical pattern that was working because they're stressed or because they're anxious or because they're nervous. So yeah, I would say it's, for me, I mean, at least maybe for other coaches, no, but working with professionals is for sure easier than with juniors. But also juniors have that kind of has a beauty to it as well, because you have a lot more things to build in. You know, with the pros, they'd say they already have a lot of things that you're not going to be able to change. You can work them, you can get the skills better, you can potentiate the strengths and maybe get a bit better on the weaknesses. But they have a lot of things that you're not going to be able to change, and they also don't want to change them many times. Then with the juniors, it's more like a Play-Doh. It's more like building it from scratch.
You can shape them, as I understand.
Yeah, I mean, which is my idea is completely the opposite. I want to be able to facilitate them all the possibilities so they actually shape with the talent they have. Which is I don't want to make them like I was, because it's not the point. You know, I want to make them the best person they can be, with their own skills, because they also have they have very, very, very different skills, all of them. You know, you see some players that are mentally great and physically terrible. Then you have the opposite. Then you have some that are tactically and technically great, but they're lacking. You know, so you have to really see with them. You don't get the full picture since the beginning, like with the other players.
Yeah, that's true. And if we go back to stress levels, most mental coaches, for example, they use visualizations, mental imagery to create this kind of stressful scenarios. And do you think, can you really simulate this kind of scenarios in the match with these things? So
with practice, no. For me, I mean, we can, no. I think there is so many variables when you're playing a match that you can really not replicate on practice. But it's, as I said, for me, it's more important to give them the skill of being very able to fix or resolve problems. So whatever the problem it is that they have, they can fix it, because we don't know what it's going to be. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, you can try to put this, let's say, scenarios, as you said, which, yes, we do, but it's not going to be the same. You know, when you travel from Spain, you travel to play in Turkey, and then you already spend the ticket, and you're paying for your coach, and you're there, and you know, if you do good, you're getting the prize money. If you're not good, you're not getting the prize money. Then all the other players are there, they're watching, there's people. Now also there is the betting, which is also generating a lot of stress on players as well. So there's so many things that you can, you know, matches are never going to be the same as the practice. But I think we need to make the practice as completely and holistic as possible, so that they can perform good on matches, for sure.
Yeah, that's an issue. I mean, also with neurofeedback, to measure those moments, to replicate the match moments, you need to bring the player to that specific stress amount. And sometimes some loud music is being used, or VR is being used, or like stressful situations are being used, but still it's not 100% probably, but it's actually at least better than just, putting your calm or favorite music and trying to work on your like physical abilities. It's still a lot better than that, I think.
I mean, for me also, what it has worked a lot about that is, as I said, also routines. It's where, I mean, you know what works great? Giving the players routines that don't doesn't let them enough time to overthink. Because, for example, you have seen it with Rafa Nadal. He used to, I mean, with the bottles and with the things about not touching the lines and then always walking the same, and then the hair, and all this was maybe for him not to overthink. I mean, the more time you have on your head, it can be an enemy also. It's not always an ally, because you start seeing so many different scenarios that it's not working. For me, you have also to have a very structured kind of way of thinking. For example, you get the time between points. So how are you going to spend it for let's say you spend 5-6 seconds on exaltation, which is I either get frustrated or I either fist pump because I did a great point. Then I get 10 seconds of relaxation, which I go to the towel, I listen to my coach, blah, 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 blah. And then I have 5 seconds to just think, what am I going to do now? What am I serving? And what am I doing with the second ball? I don't have to think anymore. But otherwise, if you don't know what you're doing with the time, you get all these, seconds can become hours in your head when you're playing a match.
Exactly.
And it feels huge. So you need to really kind of know in what area you want to put your head on in your mental space.
Exactly. Like with tennis clients and dart clients, I usually tell them the same thing. You have 3 seconds, 5 seconds, 10 seconds before. So you really need a very structured routine before every serve you take, shot you make, or darts you throw, like all kinds of things. Because as you say, those 5 seconds can be your biggest enemy as well if you don't know what to think about. But if you prepared fixed pre-serve routine, for example, let's talk about tennis. And if you have your affirmation ready, for example, which can be completely useless according to some people, but it's keeping you away from overthinking things at the same time, because you know what to say, you know what to do. And since you're not overthinking, actually your working memory and the decision-making part of your brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, is still open. So you can actually use your brain, your energy for the things to strategize, to find the gaps in your opponent's game, and keep moving in a great way instead of just ruminating, instead of just being afraid because it's the break point. What if I do the second serve wrong? Like double
Well, it
point.
happened. I think you just mentioned the highest vocabulary on the tennis tour. It
Yeah,
happens a lot. Tennis. I
negative
think,
talk, I guess.
yeah. I mean, I always make the joke to the players that it's impossible to get Alzheimer of how to hit a ball. In a sense of, sometimes they look at me, inside a man, and I had this with a I'm not gonna say the name, but I had this with a player, at a very high level, that he had certain moment, great forehand guy. He can hit the ball great, but he had moments in the match where he could not feel the forehand. And he will look at me like, "Oh my God, man, I cannot hit a ball." Man, you're not getting Alzheimer from hitting forehands. You do that all day. You have done it for the last 15 years. But it's where your head goes. So this is it's tough, and it's like this. We also see it sometimes with very high professionals. We saw it with Federico Coria very long time ago when he couldn't, he had like 30 double faults a match. Or we saw it also with Zverev, I think, last year. I don't know when it was, when he had a struggle with the serve and he was doing a lot of double faults. And it's a tough area to be. I've been there myself, so it's a tough area to be. But you also have to, I mean, at the end of the day, you do this hours and hours and hours a day. So the repetitions are there. Your body knows how to do it. Is just, as you said, the mind gets to that negative part, and the mind can control everything. So it's important to also know how to defocus that bad thought to a good one. And I mean, I said in a maybe it sounds like a business kind of way, but no, not really. You get the input, right? You make a double fault, right? That's an input. Boom, double fault. I'm gonna do 10,000. I have it in my head. If I say it, I'm converting the input into output straight away. So once I say it, the words is gonna become the thoughts are becoming action straight away. So for me, it's very important to have, as players or as coaches, we have to help them to have a great ability of transforming that input into positive output, because they're going to get so many bad inputs, and we need to help them, at least, if not in a good output, then containing it inside and kind of figuring out a way to look at to the different perspective very fast. Otherwise, it's going to stay there.
They do it without knowing. They think they are like saying a good thing, like, okay, I shouldn't make a double fault, but you need to rephrase that question.
Yeah, exactly. Because once once you have said it, well, I see so many, especially on and I feel for the guys as well, because it's not easy. Tennis is brutal. It's brutal. It's easy to, as I said, it's easy to say it here, sitting down on a computer, and we're talking and we're having a great podcast or interview, whatever. But it's not easy, once you are doing 8-9 weeks in a row. 8-9 weeks in a row is crazy amount of time. You're out of home, you're traveling every day, having expenses every day. And sometimes you're not having good weeks. Of course, if you do semifinals and you're having 2-3 days off and you're playing again, easy. But if you're losing on a Monday and you don't play until next Monday, it's a lot of time. So if you lost that match because of your serve, you have a lot of time in your head. So you have to know, and to have the right team around you to support you on that, because it's not easy. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying that we need to help them. We need to help them have the best skills as possible. That's all.
And how the pressure changes for the players who is in top 100 or outside the top 100 or in the top 25, top 5. What is the biggest difference? What do you think? Mentally?
I think, biggest factor, and it's not a secret that, you have seen a lot of coaches talked about this, is the believing part and the confidence part. How much do you believe that you have the level? So for example, you see players like Carlos or Yannick, Yannick and Carlos, they came on tour very young and they were already saying, believing that they could have these big wins. Carlos was believing that he was going to win multiple Grand Slams. So, and also it's crazy because the tour kind of gives you that affirmation as well. So for example, when they were getting on the tour, a lot of players were saying these guys are going to be good, so they also believe that they're going to be good. But it's also not easy when you enter the tour kind of late. But if you're not like a special talent getting in with 20 years, 19, 18, whatever, and you are entering the top 100 with 26, 27, nobody's going to say that. No, it's real. It's like this, it's not, nobody's gonna come in the interview and say, oh, this guy is gonna, because it's like that. The tour is like that. So it's really becomes you and your team, how much confidence and believing you put in. And I think that doesn't come, as I said, it's very on the structure part of the plan, and how clear is your roadmap with your team, that you're gonna believe, are we putting the right work in? Because it's not gonna come, of course, results. Yes, it's gonna be results as well. Maybe you have a few good wins here and there that is gonna boost your confidence. But at the end, if you're a 85 guy on the world, right, and you put the work, you put the hours, you put the right nutrition, you have the right recovery, you have the right team around you, you're not being, because this happens also, it's a financial part, and the money part is big. But for example, this happens sometimes, players have been struggling for years and years, losing money, and they finally make it to play some Grand Slam main draws, so they're winning money. So you are there in a position of saying, am I going to invest it on myself, or what? Or am I just going to cash out? Am I just going to start, hey, which is also fair. You have put so much hours into this thing and in this sport, and you have been playing for years, and you have been really, to not say bad words, but you have been struggling in eating bad food, and in the bad, whatever the situation is. So it's also fair that you think, okay, no, it's my chance to get this money, buy a house, be relaxed, my team is working. Or you have the hunger part, to say, I made it to top 80, now I have that extra money to put into my team, my fast, whatever it is, to get more people into my team, get better at fitness, start playing some tournaments maybe where before I wasn't playing. That's a big difference. So which happens. I also, for example, I'm going to put an example that happened this year, that I have been looking at it and I was very curious about it, on the female part. And this, I don't think, is so much on the financial part, but also on the mentality. So for example, you have Louise Boisson, I don't know how you pronounce it. This French player, she has this breakthrough in French Open. She goes from, being very outside the top 100, and then she gets the, top 75, I think.
Semi-final or
no, she did semifinals.
Semi-final, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So she has this amazing run, right? She goes from being very low ranked to getting there, to being able to, okay, now I can play big tournaments. So it's a matter of, is she gonna, for example, she had the chance right now, is the Asian swing, hard courts. Maybe she's not great at hard courts. We have seen it. Maybe she's gonna be good, but she's for sure better on clay. She lost a lot of first rounds now in the American swing, right? In Cincinnati, then going to US Open. So she had a chance to say, okay, am I, I have low boxes to fill in the ranking spots, let's say, with points. I can go and play medium tournaments in South America with the 125s and 250, which is clay, and I'm going to win them, or do good because I'm going to be very high ranked in maybe first or second seed. Or am I going to go and go to Asia, which is hardcore, and play the big tournaments? Maybe I'm going to, I'm not going to win it, but I need to, get the level, play with the better players, understand them better, and improve as a player. Of course, bigger tournament, more prize money, maybe, But I was very curious, what's her decision going to be? I thought she was going to go to Asia, which she ended up doing, because I look at the tour a lot, so to know what's happening. But then you have also some players that maybe, they have to defend some tournaments here and there, and they decide to go to the other part. So I think I've answered your question simpler. I think confidence and believing. I think how much you believe in yourself. If you believe a lot, you're going to put more work. You're going to invest more in yourself. For example, if you need a mental coach, you're going to put the mental coach. If you need a better in the technical, tactical part, you're going to bring more coaches, or you're going to bring more fitness coaches. So for the fitness part, whatever it is, because you believe that you're going to make it. If you are, maybe that believing is not that big, then it's going to look on your team or whatever it is, and it's also going to look on the matches, what tournaments you play. So yeah, I think that's the biggest difference.
I
And
like
also, for example, on the guys, even on the guys, I think, of course, I'm gonna put it on a very high level, because we're talking details, right? But for example, between Sinner and Alcaraz right now, they both have huge believing that they're gonna agree, achieve great things.
Mhm.
They're both riding the wave of this. They have had a great year. Alcaraz has done something incredible this year. Sinner, I think, also the level that he has produced is ridiculous. And then you have Djokovic right there, right in the toes. But we're talking about a guy, and it's funny, because we're talking about a guy that is the greatest guy in history, records wise.
Mhm.
He has the most Grand Slams, the week's number one, whatever. He has everything. He has won everything, even the Olympics. He has won everything. And still, people say that he's having a bad year. And the guy has done semifinal in every Grand Slam he has played. He has just lost to those other two.
Mhm.
So for me, also, it's not, of course, the physical part. Let's be honest. Physically, Novak is not as where he used to be, for sure. He's older. I think for what he's doing is still ridiculously good, but he's not where he used to be physically. But also, I think his belief has dropped a little bit as well. That he can actually beat these two guys, which
Mhm.
is fair. It's fair as well. It's fair. I mean, you're playing against Alcaraz, which is basically the brother of Spider-Man. The guy is ridiculous physically, and then you have Sinner that produces a pace that we haven't seen on tour ever. The speed that he plays is ridiculous. So I also understand his point of view of saying, okay, I'm gonna keep playing. Maybe I can squeeze one more Grand Slam when one of these two guys loses or gets injured, or maybe Wimbledon could have been his chance with Yannick almost losing to Dimitrov, and then Dimitrov pulled out, and then Yannick got his arm better, and then Novak, on the contrary, he had a very tough match against Koboli, and then it can happen. But I think a part of that is not only physical, but also the believing part. I think Novak before was believing still that his experience was above the physical part against these other two guys. And I think this year he has really said, they got that experience and my physical dropped, so I'm not maybe believing as much that I can beat these two guys. And even if you see the interviews, he doesn't seem the same about these questions. He really says that he's the third best guy, and he's after them. So I think the believing is at any level is going to be the big, but also it depends a lot on your team. Does your team believe in you or not?
Mhm. Well, maybe in Novak's case, he's also a bit satisfied with what he's having even now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not
He
easy.
sees
The guy.
semifinals as a success and kind of an acceptance. And as you say, it's whatever you decide, depending on the results, actually, it can be like a big risk and not realistic opinions or genius. But we can only say it after seeing the results,
Yeah,
probably.
I think I'm just very rational and pragmatic. I mean,
Mhm.
if you say that Novak has had a bad year, you're mental. I think he has had a great year.
Definitely.
If at that age, still do semifinals, which is the toughest events in the four events, it's not easy. So I think for his moment right now, and also with the amount that he has competed, because let's be honest, it's also a lot of rhythm tennis, and even in the in your sector, which is the mental part, how much if, for example, if I have played 50 matches, it's not the same if I have played 25, because those extra 25 matches is the situations I have put myself into. So if, for example, I get to a match and I'm 5-4 serving down and to stay in the match 5-all, and I did this last week and the week before, then it doesn't feel as much if I haven't done it in 2 months or in three. It's not the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
So I think not having competed that much, and the level he has produced when he has competed is crazy, because he hasn't competed, but basically, apart from the Grand Slam, maybe a few appearances here and there, but not the full calendar year. So it's tough.
Yeah. For me, I completely agree with you in terms of confidence and belief in yourself. And maybe one thing can be added. I hear a lot of players, they're sometimes so motivated. They're like, okay, I want to play 6 weeks, 8 weeks in a row in tournaments. So traveling, arranging everything, making financial costs. And they play the first week, they play the second week, then their expectations maybe don't match. Sometimes their fatigue, tiredness starts accumulating. Sometimes they don't have enough time to rest. They start questioning themselves. So, for example, sometimes what I see is they believe that they can do something, but actually they haven't planned it really well, or they don't have the people around them to can take them further when they don't have the mental capacity, energy. At the same time, you have to do it, and you need to know how to rest. You need to know how to regenerate your body. You need to sleep really well. You need to deal with lots of adversities, losses, bad periods, good periods, because sometimes even after some victories, you don't act the right way. So I think all of these things are adding up all in all, and maybe it's also affecting the way that top 50, top 100, top 300 is differing from the top, I don't know, 1000. So
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
my
I
observation.
mean, for sure. Also, if my part of about the believing in the confidence is more subjective to the very top, so top 100, top 50, top 25, top 50. But then if we get out of that bubble and we go back to the whole normal people, let's say, kind of situation, it really comes down with what I said about earlier. I think there is a huge lack of structure for athletes, a huge lack of let's say holistic approach to their careers and the management they have over their careers. Also, they have a huge also problem. Maybe the older ones know because they are more mature, but around the 20-21 year area, there's a lot of players that point fingers, about responsibility. So uh, it's never fully their fault. So for example, yeah, but my surfing is not great, but we're not working it good with my coach. Or if I would have more money, I could play different tournaments. Or there is always the if question, right? The if this, if that. But if I think it's funny, Nadal said it in an interview once. The if doesn't exist, if something, it wouldn't exist. So I think at the end of the day, you have to be very responsible that it is your project, it is your career, and you are in charge and 50% the coach of who do you bring into the team. That's your responsibility, because many times players just go with coaches or mental coaches or fitness coaches that have worked with a very good player, but maybe they're not the best fit for them because the chemistry is not there, or maybe the language is not the same, or maybe the knowledge that you need from a person is not fitting with the knowledge that that person have. I'm not saying they're bad coaches, for sure they're great coaches, but maybe it's not the right fit for you. So it's your responsibility also to be careful with who you're gonna partner with to in this venture, because at the end of the day, it's a venture. It's you're gonna experience it together and figure it out together. So you want to know if that the language with that person and the skills that the person is gonna bring to the table are fitting to what you're looking for, and if it works for you, And also, is that person or that fitness coach or mental coach, which is your case, is he gonna stay up to date with the game, or is he gonna stay traditional ways, or is he gonna keep understanding the game, keep looking at it, keep looking for new things to add, and all these things? I think is important as well.
I completely agree. And actually, I asked everything that came to my mind, even more. We've been talking for longer than an hour, actually.
Well, I mean,
Pretty-
I hope it. I mean, it helped for your. I mean, your thesis and what you're looking for to build. Uh, and as I said, the door is always open if you need something, or you just have to ask. I'm always there. And then also, I hope it works. If you can make it nicely edited nicely, and I hope it works for you also